here in Edinburgh, and we're here to go to the Greyfriars cemetery. Maybe see behind me here is the Greyfriars pub, but round the corner then is one of the more popular, regularly visited memorials here in Edinburgh. Greyfriars Bobby. There he is there. And up here then is the Greyfriars Graveyard. Now, one of the reasons why I like cemeteries is enjoy peace and quiet. But it's not always possible in here. So as you walk in then into the Greyfriars Kirkyard, this greets you. In remembrance of the thousands killed by the Union Carbide gas disaster in India on the 3rd December 1984. And your friends in Scotland have not forgotten you. Never think you stand alone. So many miles away from the Greyfriars Kirk here is the Union Carbide disaster back in the 1980s. So you can see there's lots of people of historical significance buried here. You can see here quite an unusual image there of a mustachioed lion. But again, you can see on the sides here, side columns, that the people buried in there are commemorated on the side columns. There's people with interesting job titles all around here. So, for example, James Bremner, Esquire, Solicitor of Stamps for Scotland, died in 1826 in the 80th year of his age. There's the kirk there then. Again, this headstone here, I don't know if it was originally in that position. You can see Memoriam Mary, quite common in graveyards throughout Scotland. Certainly, compared to back home, is a representation of skulls and skeletons. You can see from this rather striking image on the side of the church. But too graphic for my liking. You can see around the walls, as is the case in Friars Bush, etc. Clifton Street, some of the more wealthy occupants of the graveyard are interred. This is quite a striking headstone. A couple of references to back home on it. Duncan Forbes, of course, a really distant relation of Mr. Peter Forbes, I would imagine, and of Culloden. Culloden is obviously, but Culloden is the hotel outside at Kiltraw, outside Hollywood. And you see he was born 1865, died 1747, Lord President of the Court of Session. So, bit of fine headstone just lined flat. This, I presume, was to deter grave robbers here, body snatchers. On this headstone, this grave's right. But you can see then that the names are commemorated, and that's my theory is sounds right. It's called Mortsafe. If you're interested in seeing Mortsafes, etc., in the Greater Belfast area, Andrew Johnson is your man. The master of the macabre, one of my fellow guides at Haresbush. I think that school there in the distance is the posh school here in Edinburgh, but could be wrong. There seems to be a tour going on over here. So again, we're at the back of the kirk now. Again, you'll see this skull and crossbones on this grave. A very fine mausoleum in the distance there. This is called the flooding wall, whatever flooding is. It's really cheek by jowl beside modern Edinburgh. And you can perhaps see the castle there in the distance, Edinburgh Castle. And the old town there. Interesting burial place of burial ground of John Russell, clerk to the signet. Hundreds of very fancy headstones here. Thomas Todd of Mundy, like Isabella Todd, bred in Balmoral, and he's commemorated as the advocate. And this is an interesting place in of Dr. John Gordon, anatomist and physiologist. Born at Forres, hope that's pronounced correctly, died in Edinburgh 1818. There is a castle, Edinburgh Castle, in the distance. And some of the other buildings in the Royal Mile just in the horizon there. I think there's Harry Potter connections to this graveyard. This kirkyard, and maybe this is why there's so many, for example, perhaps Japanese people here. So this is perhaps a headstone here, Riddell, possibly. It's an interesting place then. Well, it says William Ramsay, banker, 1809. Minister of Tallbooth Church here in Edinburgh. This is interesting. This presumably used to be a column on top of this. Remember if Helen, widow of the late James Young, Edward James Young, Esquire of Mount Stuart, Melrose Castle, island of Jamaica, died on a visit to Edinburgh, aged 78. I think they're in Mount Stuart, as well as back home. There's a Mount Stuart in the Isle of Mute. in Scotland here. Massive headstones here. This one is to Alexander Stirling, late merchant in Edinburgh. There's the back of the kirk there. It's a relatively humble church considering the size of some of the churches in Edinburgh. I'll come over to this. This is George Buchanan. And you can see born in 1506 and died 1582. Such an ancient place, this. Crikey, look at the size of this headstone here. It's absolutely massive. Obviously a very prominent merchant of Edinburgh back in the day. So we'll head back to the main entrance exit. Again, some of the buildings up in the Royal Mile there. You might be able to see, with the white top on it, the tint of purple or pink. That's the camera obscura. And then round to the castle itself. Again, another rider to the signet. Here, John Glassford Hopkirk, Esquire. Solicitor there in the Supreme Courts. John Parker. Again, I haven't seen this before in Northern Ireland, but they continue to write on the side. You can see the left of this headstone, Craigie grave. You can see Sarah Ann Craigie. She's commemorated on the left hand side. Another tour just starting off there, it seems. Again, seems to be in Spanish. This is the chairmaster in Edinburgh, Donald Galashan. And this seems to be a place of days set aside for his successors to be interred there. Yeah, that's a beautiful kirkyard. The eyes are attracted to this headstone here. Seems to have been even grander previously. You can see the angels at the back there. Incredible. And at the top, lots and lots of writing as well. It appears to be in Latin. Again, maybe missing the head there, but it's hard to read that headstone. Face there. And then up to the top, well, top of the head's the inscription. You can see the skulls there and some looks like fruit. Same again. A little face. And then the coat of arms, possibly for the family. Family coat of arms up at the top. Yeah. Don't know what's going on here, but I see the crossbones. Skull and crossbones. So, thanks for joining me on this dusk December wander around Greyfriars Kirkyard. And if you haven't already subscribed to Peter McKay's Memorable Memorials, please do so. You can subscribe for free, and you can click and comment on the videos. You normally do only one video a week, usually from Ireland, but a few like this one from Edinburgh and Scotland, and also a few down in the Republic of Ireland. So Peter McKay's Memorable Memorials. Oh yes, that's the Riddell grave there. So that was the one. That's a bit of information about it. So I think that was the one that those people were gathered down at. You can see another little representation of Greyfriars Bobby just in the shadow of the church. And then just as you come in, it says Greyfriars Bobby died 14th January 1872, aged 16 years. Let his loyalty and devotion be a lesson to us all. Erected by the Dog Aid Society of Scotland and unveiled by His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester on the 13th of May 1981. Again here, Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh. Thanks for joining me.